This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. We're working very hard to get the kit portion of our build done, and we have a lot of tasks to get to this week.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of different things. We're going to jump around quite a bit. And somebody did ask me how soon we're going to finish the boat. Actually, many people ask me that. We never have a clear answer on that one because too many factors involved of, first-time builders of a big boat like this and hole number one of this boat. So it's just so many factors. But I will say this, that we are very, very close to finishing the kit portion of the boat, meaning all of the kit we purchased all built. There's just so much after that that we can't guesstimate on when and how long it'll take. Just how long will fairing and sanding and painting and plumbing and electrical and adding some other systems in there, how long will that take? I don't know. We'll work hard at it. You can guarantee that. So let's get right over the lot and get to work. So it's Monday morning and we're at work on those beams again. We're putting up the next two. As you can see, Brian is back from the grave. Somewhat as healthy as he ever is. And we're getting that layer of thickened epoxy onto this beam. And it goes right up here along there, and it has to line up with the posts that we're going to be putting in there. So we've got that all measured up, cleaned up, sanded up. I got it. I want you to get it as centered as you can. Yeah. Okay, hold it there. Yeah. All right, now come put the jack on. We can adjust it a little bit afterwards. Hi. Keep going. Almost there. Okay, stop. Now let's adjust it just a little bit. Make sure it's centered. This one is not. Okay, that's pretty good. Now jack it up a little higher. Or really snug it up. Okay. Save any excess you have. I have use for it. Okay, so all three beams are now in. This one was Saturday. Now we got the two side ones in, so we're good to go there. The next job on these is going to be no fun. We're going to have to glass 2 layers of glass on all three of these beams and across the mainsail track beam over there. Plus we got to get the support poles in and glass this as well. So a lot of glass work on the ceiling coming up, but not today. These guys set up today, so we'll tackle that maybe later this week. Morning, Brian and I are working on the nitro rubber seals that we're using for the inspection lids on top of our diesel tanks. So we've got, you're done right here. So we got our G10 plates that are going to get glued down, and now we're cutting out our rubber piece to match up to that G10, and then we'll drill holes to match up the bolt pattern of the lid. And once this is all done, we're going to glue these down today, and that means that these tanks will be ready to bolt these on once it sets out, and we'll be able to run our pressure tests on the tanks finally. Find out if we messed up or not. Let's hope we didn't. So Brian's now drilling the rubber nitrile piece to get all of our bolt holes through. And we did all that. We already did one, so we know it works. Time to permanently put in these inspection ports finally, after many, many stages. Brian and I have been working all morning on getting them prepped. We had to sand up the side that's going to get down, drill all the holes, fix the rubber pieces, and we got our final versions ready. Okay. This way. Okay, let's get this done. Okay. Gluing. On the next. And all in. Number two. So that all went really smoothly. Now we're headed to the port side, and cross your fingers that it's just as smoothly over there. So what we're doing right here is we're cutting a little piece of G10 that we're going to be putting up on the cabin top, and we'll show you that in a few minutes, to support the small pole that's up there at the very top. Instead of just having the pole land on foam, we're going to have a little G10 plate up there, so to give it a little more, spread that weight out rather than just the rim of that post. These are the main posts for the support of the mainsail track and roof, and you can see we're going to cut just a hair more off here, and the reason for that is, again, we're adding a G10 plate up here to support the rather than having this rim right here press into the wood. In this case, we're going to put a little G10 plate to spread that load out just a little bit. All right. Okay. Okay, we're in line with this. We are level both directions here. We're in our mark here. That's where that pole goes. And we've got a nice little piece of G10 that's here between this and the wood. Oh, we gotta do the same thing on the other side. There we go. First time we've seen all 4 posts in. It's all adjusted and such. So we're going to get to gluing these in and tabbing these in on the bottoms our next work day, which is going to be Friday. We'll see you then. So we've got our delivery from Raritan. We'll put it in the garage and then we'll take a look at it and see what's in there. Okay, let's open one up. When they say these toilets are compact, they mean they are compact. It's very small. That's really what we want, because we have a wall it goes up against and a narrow spot that it goes in, so it has to be very small, very compact. As far as the height goes, we're going to build it onto a platform below, so we can put it at any height that we want it to be. But when we want to service it, we just disconnect it, take the whole toilet off, and we can get into all the parts easily from back in here if we need to replace the pump, service it in any other way. So what I wanted was, I didn't want pumps and stuff off to the side here because I just don't have room for that, and I just wanted it all contained in it, and that's what we got. This morning we're working on these posts to go in, and one of the problems we have is that on one side of them there's no way for us to reach down to put a cove on or to glass it. So what we've done instead is we've pre-done the cove on plastic here, and we'll let this set up, and that way we don't have to make this when we're up there. We just have to put some glue on the back side of the cove to stick it to the wall. So on both of these we had to put a cove on these two, but that'll work out, and we'll get that done. Now we're upstairs and we're working on the beam up there that's underneath the sail track right now, and it's pretty good, but there's a few little gaps and parts that we want to smooth out, so we're mixing up some thickened epoxy right now. See right here, we already have fixed this section here so that it's a nice smooth curve around here. We've also sanded these edges right here so that the glass will roll over there nicely, and but we still got to fix the same gap we have right here all the way down, and then there's a couple of low spots that we need to fix up, and on the back side just a little bit of a gap along here that we're going to fix. So we want it all to be like this one over here before we put the last pieces of glass on here, so we're going to fix that up right now. We've got it, both sides, bottom, everywhere. Just need some sanding there. I'm putting some G10 pieces underneath of the small poles that go on the outside holding the cabin top up. So they have to fit into the curved part of the cupboard. So we got to get a somewhat of a curve cut onto here with a saw that goes straight. go test fit upstairs, far side port. Already had a couple of offcuts round that we can use up here. So we already had these round ones. And that'll spread the edge load out over a larger area against this so that it won't bend the foam in right there. Okay. So that's basically where that one goes. Well, our mainsail track is gluing, so we can't do any further work until that epoxy sets up. So that might mean tomorrow. So we've moved over into the hulls, and we'd like to progress these to their next stage because we're hell-bent on getting this sole down so we can get to work on the heads. And the next thing is that we need to get bilge paint onto the 3 dry compartments. So there's the 2 that are right in here, and then one you can't see up there where all the plumbing goes for the black water pump out and such. So this side, we need to add a little hole down at the bottom here because we only want to have to, for these 2, we want 1 bilge pump. And so we're going to put a hole through so that the water can move between these 2 and get pumped out by the 1 bilge pump. That bilge pump will probably be on this side and go up behind the cupboard here through a through hole and out. So, so we'll put it on this side because coming over here it would be in the hallway. So we'll put the bilge pump here, we'll put a hole through, and so while I'm grinding a couple things, we need to put a hole through. So I'm thinking that's probably going to be the vibrator, I'm guessing. We're going to go flat against there and then just cut like a triangle right here. All right. So that the water can flow between these 2. So we've cut our hole through right here. Comes through around this side over here. Now I got to drum all that out and fill the sides with epoxy. And that allows us to have the 1 bilge pump over on this side. Like I say, the pipe will come up because this one's going to go above the water line, which the water line is right here. And so the through hole will be up here. All cleaned up, sanded, alcoholed. Brian's mixing me some thickened epoxy because we've got to do a little bit of fairing in here. Nothing crazy, just some bad spots. Because again, this is a bilge. It doesn't have to be perfect surface. It just don't want any deep holes for stuff to collect in or anything. So we'll do a minor fairing on here. We'll sand it and then we'll go straight to bilge paint. Okay, so the middle one's got fairing compound on there. We need to sand it up when it's all set, and so does this one. So we'll do that third one once these other 2 are set up over there. Okay, we've glued in the two posts now. So they're glued top and bottom with little G10 plates on each of them. And they're perfectly level, each direction here. So we're gonna move on over to that side right now, and we'll put those two posts in. That means tomorrow, which is Saturday, we'll be able to get rid of this final non-boat structure. It's the only one left in the boat that's not part of the boat. But now that these four posts are going to be in, this roof is going to be held permanently. So now we still have to glass it, tab it, top, bottom, sides. But the glue's enough to hold these posts in place. So we'll be able to get rid of this monstrosity. I'll be happy to see it go. It's been nothing but in our way. So we've got marks in here of where these go and where they line up. Same thing on this one over here. And where the G10 plate goes, the circular one there. This is the actual post size, and this is the G10 part. And then there's a G10 plate that goes here, right where the post comes up in line with this beam. Through all the videos that people have seen us walking up on the roof and saying, boy, that roof flexes a lot. It won't flex anymore now, or at least hardly at all, because we've got these corner posts right on the corner where that flex was taking place. And of course, all these beams that we're putting in are all making this whole stern cabin top roof area stiffen up. And so this is sort of the final construction of the cockpit area. The only thing we have left to do is, I'll turn my camera on, is mount that helm piece onto the floor where it goes and tab that on. But other than that, all of the construction portion of the cockpit is done. And we'll have to do some work on hinges and things, and there's a lot of finish work to do, but at least construction will be complete. Having said that, there's one big construction thing left, which is we've got to put the top piece on that goes on top of all this. And we can't do that. That's going to be much later here, because we have to put the gantry system in, because we need access down inside of here to deal with how we're going to connect the bolts and stuff, how we're going to connect the posts that go here, because there's actually 4 more posts across here. There's 2 that are part of the solar arch. So these will be carbon fiber posts, 2 of them. And then there's 2 stainless steel posts that are part of the gantry system. So there are there's 4 more posts that go across the back of this. So you can tell though that the stern of this cabin top is going to be incredibly well supported. In the original plans, there were 2 poles. This big thick one right here, and its corresponding one right here, and that's it. But because of the way I decided to do the gantry system, add a solar arch, and just wanted support out on those corners over there, and added those other poles, we ended up, instead of 2 poles, we had 8 poles total. So again, it's going to be really solid. Another thing, while I'm waiting for Brian on the epoxy, that we're happy we did, was, remember that we widened this out. It used to be in here, and we widened this by moving this inwards here. But that means that the walkway through here by these poles is plenty wide for your arms and shoulders and everything here. It's comfortably walking through. You're not going to be whacking yourself into these poles as you go. So it's much nicer with this wider. And again, that's one of those things that it's not Shoney's fault, because I modeled this as well, and models aren't the same as reality. And so you always got to, as you're building, you've got to take a look at what the kind of space you have for living in and say, well, I think we needed more space here, because we just stand here and go, yeah, that'd be better. And so you make little adjustments like that. Now, again, I'll pass all these on to Shonig when I'm done and let them decide which ones they want to change in the kit. A momentous moment. The last temporary structure, temporary being, almost about 3 years. And this boat is down, and we're going to take it apart and get it out of here because we have all of our posts, at least the ones that are meant to support the roof, in. So the roof is well supported, and it'll only get more supported as I put in the other 4 posts, but those aren't really necessary to hold the roof. Those are really to hold up our solar panels and hold up our dinghy as we raise and lower it. There we go. It's done. It's finished. Now we just get this wood all out of the boat. We've got a lot of cleanup to do in here. We've been working hard on getting stuff done, but there's coming to a point here soon where we got to clear out everything, get this boat cleaned up in here, because it's not far off from doing a lot of fairing and sanding in here. We needed everything, every surface exposed. So while Brian's mixing up some epoxy to fair the third dry bilge area, I'm going to clean up these edges on our rudders because the basalt just went off the edge. So I cut off the worst of it, but I left a little bit so that I can just grind it smooth like right here. So while just adjusting that rudder edge, sanding it, Brian and I are working on getting some fairing compound on for this build. These two are already done. This is the third one on this side of the road. Once this one's done, we'll go to the fourth side and continue getting these things faired a little. We're not really worried too much about these being perfect, but a little bit of fairing. And then come Saturday, come Monday, we'll sand all these up, and then we can start putting in a bilge paint. While Jeff and I were fairing the port side bilges, Brian was up sanding on the mainsail track and prepping it for the final glass layers. got the fairing compound on them, and we'll do the one I'm standing in here Monday. So we've been measuring out because we have to get the exact center of this pin to come through the holes here, where we have these stainless steel pieces that go through these here. Now, the Kickup rudder box turns on these, but the rudder pivots on this post in the center here. These aren't connected. These are out here. That's in there. And so they're independent, but they've got a pivot on the same exact point. So we're having to make sure that these holes are lined up perfectly with where that is. And it's a little off. So we're going to refill and re-drill and get them exactly right. They have to be perfect. And somebody, one of our viewers was asking how this works with these Kickup rudders. Well, the rudder post comes up and connects into here, and the post goes down through this box to the rudder beneath. When the rudder hits something, this whole box and the rudder is going to pivot up, and the post is got a hole through it right here, so it can rotate on that pin right there, and the box can rotate on these pieces. So the two of them rotate together and it comes up. And the reason you have to make a box for this is so that the rudder has somewhere to go. Because as this box rotates up, it's going to create a slot that the rudder can come up into that slot. And so the max distance that this can rotate up is when it hits the deck up here, which is not quite 90 degrees. But that means that the rudder will be out at almost 90 degrees, just slightly down. So it'll be well beyond the bottom of the boat when it's tilted up. Another question we've had from viewers about the Kickup rudders is they're only going to work when the rudder's facing fairly straight. So let's simulate the rudder. Imagine this is the rudder down below. And if the rudder is turned more than this much, then it won't be able to come up. So this is all that it can rotate before it has to come, or it get blocked if it was way over here. But you have to ask yourself, when is this going to get kicked up? And the answer to that is just while you're sailing. So if you have a log out there and you hit it, then this has to kick up. Or if there was a shipping container floating just below the surface and your boat rode up onto it, when it reached the rudder, it would kick the rudder up. Any object floating on the surface that we hit the rudder, it has to kick up. But while you're sailing, your rudder is going to be mostly straight and only slightly turning. If it's any more than that, you have a severe problem with weather helm, and you need to adjust your sails so that this is fairly straight all the time. And that's what that Ruddermaster thing from Raritan does. It helps us keep this straight when we adjust our sails so we can get rid of any weather helm. So what about when we're in port and we're driving around a marina? We have to make very sharp turns around things. Well, you don't use your rudders in port. Your rudders are locked straight. There's a lock in the center of the hub on the wheel, and you center your rudders and then you lock them. And so these remain straight, and you steer the boat with the two throttles, just like you were driving a tank. So you want to go forward, you want to spin in place. It's all throttles. You don't use the rudder for anything. And on a monohull, you do use your rudder, but on a catamaran, you lock the rudder straight and you just steer with your throttles. Because of that, if we hit something while we were tooling around in a shallow area like that, the rudders are still straight and they can still rotate up. Not only that, if we're in an area like where there's a lot of bommies and such,
where it's possible that we might hit something while we're tooling around. Well, we can just walk back here and manually raise both of these rudders up. Since we don't need them to steer anyway, we're doing that with the throttles. We can literally raise both of our rudders, and there is nothing down there to hit anything at that point. So that's how this whole thing is supposed to work.
So this week we managed to seal up the diesel tanks. Next stop on that is going to be pressure testing.
Yeah, I got to make sure there's no leaks. And but we got lots of other stuff done, as you saw. We've got work on the rudders done, a lot of work up on the cockpit ceiling area, getting the support beams and such in, and started working on the mechanism area for the Kickup rudder, so there was a lot to go on that. So lots done this week and much more to come. So thank you all for spending time with us and watching us as we're working on SV Lynx.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you to all of our patrons listed here. We appreciate you so much. We couldn't do this project without you guys. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
And next week, lots more work and maybe even a little rain on us. But, you know, the weather here in Southern California has been schizophrenic. You know, we went from high temperatures, dropped within 2 days to 20 degrees, you know, below that in Fahrenheit. And rain, from sweltering heat to rain in 2 days. Yeah, it's Southern California. That's what you get. We'll see you next week for more fun.
Bye.